guys, Ralph here. Welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness on this terrific Tuesday here in Connecticut. Life's good, man. Life's good. Anyway, you saw the thumbnail. Yesterday was the New York section, trumpet section, Tonight Show band. This will be the LA section to the Tonight Show band. All right? Anyway, let me honk a little bit and we'll get to it. Serious, man. Anyway, life is good. Life is good. Anyway, guys, I am going to double down on my book, KB's for Double C's. Okay? I have been doing a lot of that this summer, and it helps my chops immeasurably. Literally, with a flick of the fingers, with a I'm sorry. With a flick of the fingers, man. With a 10... let me show you. I don't spend too much time. See if you can tell the difference. It may not come through, but see if you can tell the difference in the tone and power. Guys, it's like night and day. Okay, we're going to be talking about this in the future, but it is an initial spike. This is not on my website. You have to go through me, PayPal $10, and I will get it to you today if you want. Anyway, the trumpet section to the LA Tonight Show band. Now, by the time I got to New York, the New York section was sort of in its final days with Doc. Okay? Doc was long gone by the time I got in and about the scene and all that sort of stuff. And much of the glamour, for lack of a better term, around this trumpet section was gone. Okay? And all the glamour and everything was now out in LA. It's as sublime as those trumpet players were that I talked about earlier. Again, they're working guys, blue-collar guys, so to speak, working in the studios and all this. And the glitz and everything was out in L.A. So here we are out in L.A. Now, my man Tony, you might have read the comment, my man from Chicago, who gives me a lot of info on Bataillon and all them, said that his father was a childhood friend of John Audino, and he got to know him very, very well. And John Audino was heard by Doc playing lead for Harry James. Okay? And Doc said, that's the guy I want for LA. So he came out with Doc as the lead player. And Doc gave him a little leeway in bringing guys with him. That may be one of the reasons that the New York guys did not come. And the fact that possibly John Audino was making some of the decisions instead of Doc. And as I said, these guys were making so much money in New York, they probably didn't want to uproot their family and all that sort of stuff. Kids in school and everything. It probably had nothing to do other than that. They didn't want to go. One guy that did go with him, however, was Snooki Young. He was in New York and LA. I don't know if I mentioned that yesterday. Tremendous, tremendous jazz and lead player. And John Audino, in typical old school fashion, he had the Harry James tone power up to a G. I'm sure he could get his way up to a double C, but I wouldn't call him a double C guy, like say Bob McCoy or something, but he could play double Cs. Snooki could play anything, okay? Then you had Clark Terry. Now, Clark Terry played in New York and LA. I don't know how much section stuff he actually played in LA. By that time, I think Clark was doing primarily solo stuff. And I saw him soloing with the band many times when he was pushing an album or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how much actual section time that he did. And of all the guys on that roster, both New York and LA, I would have to say, chop-wise, Clark was probably the only one that was not a lead guy, if need be. Okay? Especially that point in his career. Then we had the Condolence Brothers. Fabulous. Pete and Conti Condoli. Tremendous, tremendous jazz players with centered, pure tone. They weren't lead players in the traditional sense, but they did have high Gs and they could have played on occasion. Okay? You had Alan Vizzuti subbing and doing a lot of arrangements and all that sort of stuff. Who am I missing? There's more. Oh. The lead trumpet player after Audino, okay, was Chuck Finley. Okay? Now here's the deal. And this scuttlebutt, again, I don't mind saying this because this is very, very well documented, and I'm not knocking Chuck. He's a wonderful, wonderful trumpet player. I'm sure he's a great guy. Actually, I know I told this story before. My first day at Manus, I walked into this student lounge, and on the end table was a copy of Forbes magazine with a picture of Chuck Finley, and it's how does this guy make $500,000 a year and not have a job? That was Chuck Finley. Now, he fell on hard times. Okay? He had a bad news cocaine and drug problem. Bad news. To the point he's making $500,000 a year, several years in a row, lost everything. His wife, his home, everything. To the point where he's living in his car. He eventually took I know, it was a studio orchestra gig. I believe it might have been in Germany. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter where it is. Studio, and to go over, get his chops back, dry out a little bit. Okay? And when John Audino passed away, the lead player, Chuck Finley got called in. And I know he did make the switch from Johnny Carson to eventually Jimmy Fallon, I believe it was, in a smaller group. I'm not sure if he's still there now. But a tremendous, tremendous trumpet player. He was a tad younger than all the guys that I mentioned. But he could do it all too. Solo, double Cs, tremendous, tremendous natural talent. So again, you just have lead players and great jazz players coming out of the woodwork. The only one that, again, except for Clark Terry, they were all lead players. Could play lead. Except for John Audino, they were all really, really tremendous jazz players. John Audino, as far as I know, was primarily lead. I don't doubt for a minute he could play some jazz. I don't doubt for a minute. But to the level of Snooki Young or Clark Terry, no. But basically, they were some of the greatest players that ever lived, all in one band, and the place, and you add Doc to that, oh my God, just incredible. Incredible. Ed Shaughnessy on drums. Guys, never before and never again. I mean, I know some of the Hampton bands and the Basie bands and all that sort of stuff were tremendous. But this, are you kidding me? This was just the creme de la creme. And wonderful, wonderful trumpet playing. And God bless Doc. I mean, he's the one that, as I said yesterday, he's the one that started the big band format. And he kept that going, man, and I'll tell you, all of us who are working late on, weeknights or anything would run home so we could just hear little snippets of Doc and the band, after they come back from a break or something like that. It's just, forget when they did an actual solo number. Wonderful. Wonderful. Some of the greatest trumpet players that ever lived. Oh, here's one for you. And if you ever notice it, Snooki Young. What I loved about Snooki Young, he was great with shakes. But for some reason, and I've never seen this before, and I don't think I'll ever see it again, he would move his horn side to side, but the shakes would go up and down. I've never seen it. Anyway, tonight's show, the golden age of trumpet, and now is about as gold as it got, man. Anyway, eat and drink fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power. Love you all.